Head on a summer road trip this year. Be prepared for unpredictable prices at the pumps.
Carney's off to a rocky start, isn't he? Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we got a Liberal pundit humiliating the guy, just pointing out how much of basically a failure he has been since his reign as prime minister here has started. One of the unsurprising announcements from Mark Carney, though, is his announcement of essentially a DOGE program in Canada. Is this just a front to hide all of the corrupt spending the Liberals have been doing over the past decade? We'll have to see. Got a bunch of other stuff. Let's jump into this. I was talking about housing prices quite a bit in a previous video. Well, we've got this chart here. It says breaking new data. Toronto condo prices fall to a fresh multi-year low. So we're seeing this big peak here. This was 2022. Justin Trudeau said, get out there, buy a new house, buy a condo. The interest rates will stay low forever. People trusted Justin Trudeau, bad idea. And now it's coming down big time. We got another one here saying the average Canadian home price falls to $700,000 for the first time since 2021. That doesn't mean prices in Canada are cheap. They're just not as astronomical as this here 2022, but they are still coming down now. But really, this needs to still half to get to a point where Canadians can actually afford houses, because $700,000 is still an outrageous amount of money for a house. Jumping over to CTV, we've got Scott Reid here serving Mark Carney a cold dish of reality. This is coming from Liberal Scott Reid. To solidify this even more, going back to my board here, where we got Scott Reid, as I pointed out in a previous video, Scott Reid's son worked for the Liberal campaign. During the election, I don't know if he works full-time or whatever, Scott Reid is very much a Liberal. He campaigned for Evan Solomon, who used to work at CBC, got caught doing dirty art deals with guests, one of them being Mark Carney. Scott Reid humiliating Mark Carney and how he's conducted himself as Prime Minister in his first few weeks here.
So what do you make of this flip-flop on the budget?
Well, you know, the Prime Minister had to go all the way to Rome to get religion on a federal budget. So bada boom. Like it's a bit messy. And it reminds us that this is a new government with a new Prime Minister. You know, the logic was unexplained last week. Why wouldn't you have a statement in the spring or a budget in the fall? And, you know, this is kind of a mulligan. Like the Prime Minister sort of got a second shot at it, clearly decided that their approach and, most importantly, in some ways, their messaging last week was inadequate. And then they needed to explain what they were going to do, why they were going to do it, and why they weren't going to do certain things. So, you know, I think they landed in an okay place, but they shouldn't have needed 2 tries to get there.
The logic is unexplained. It's messy. They shouldn't have taken 2 tries to get there. This is humiliating. Coming from Liberal Scott Reid, this guy's a Liberal pundit. The fact that this guy's grilling Mark Carney on national television here, and Scott's right, it shouldn't have taken 2 tries. They should have better messaging. They flip-flopped on this. It wasn't like there was a miscommunication. There's some chitter-chat about that. They didn't want to table a budget. Mark Carney had some devious plan. It backfired wildly in the media. The media just absolutely slaughtered him. I mean, we see pundits and news anchors and all of them on CBC going after Mark Carney and saying it's ridiculous. Why would he do it? What kind of message does it send to Canadians? It looks so bad that he had to backpedal on all of this.
Last week did not instill a ton of confidence in the rookie finance minister. It was a strange outing for Mr. Champagne.
All right, so budget coming in the fall. What do you anticipate to come out of it?
Well, there's lots to do. I mean, the Prime Minister's point yesterday was one of the reasons we're not having a budget in the spring is that a number of enormous decisions are going to be taken in the next little while. So we know there's going to be a middle-class tax cut. That's going to happen over the course of the spring session. That's going to cost a lot of money. We know that there's a NATO summit coming up, and we are promised to make huge contributions to defense spending. So that's going to have a big impact on the fisc. We also know that the government says that it wants to conduct a very vigorous program review exercise. That means essentially cutting the growth of government. So that's going to mean no new hires. That's going, well, may not mean exactly no new hires, but it's going to be a major slowdown in new hires. It's going to mean a curtailing of a whole series of other programs and activities for the federal government. All of these things are massive budgetary decisions. So I'm going to be looking for those items in particular. What are they doing on tax cuts? What are they doing on defense? And will this program review, will this budget cutting on the internal operations of government itself, will it yield real and large savings? So those are
I mean, exactly. There's all these big budget items. The fact that they don't come out with a budget and then they just blame Donald Trump, it's weak leadership. It's pathetic. And as he mentioned earlier, it's almost like a mulligan. They're treating it like a mulligan, like second try around. Should it have been second try around? Should they have come out and said, here's the budget, considering it's coming from Mr. Banker Mark Carney? It looks pathetic is what it looks like. Mark Carney, the supposed economic genius, worked at Goldman Sachs, can't put together a budget, won't put together a budget. You got a guy like Scott Reid, who's the biggest cheerleader for Justin Trudeau for a long time, and the Liberals. He's a cheerleader for the Liberal Party. He's a Liberal pundit, and he's calling out Mark Carney.
3 items in particular to be keeping your eyes open come the fall.
Now, meantime, Parliament resumes next week. What do you think Carney's first week in the House of Commons will look like?
Well, it's going to be super interesting. I mean, there'll be questions on this, even though he's now promising a budget in the fall. I think you'll see the opposition really targeting in on why are we not having a statement of accounts here in the spring. Obviously, it's been since December since we had any kind of update, and obviously there's been huge changes to the FISC then. I think you'll obviously continue to be pressured with respect to relations in the United States, and even though we're trying to normalize relations, there really isn't specific progress on any kind of negotiation framework. There's nothing to really give people a lot of hope when it comes to tariffs in the auto sector. So they're going to get pushed on all of those. Prime Minister has answers on all of those things. But, you know, again, this is the first time we will ever see Mark Carney in the role of Prime Minister, standing in the House of Commons, defending his government, taking questions, giving answers. And we've seen that he delivers answers a little different than past Prime Ministers. It isn't the canned syrup that we usually get. So how will that play in the House of Commons, which is a close, cloistered, partisan, and heated environment? He's not used to that sort of environment. It'll be very interesting to see how he manages himself.
That's just it. He's not used to that environment. Once he gets into question period and he's got Pierre Poilievre across from him, grilling him on all the Liberal wasteful spending, corruption scandals. There's all the scandals from before. Those need to be brought back up. SDTC, name the traitors, all of that stuff. How will Mark Carney react? Will his volcanic temper come out and will he snap? He's an elitist. We have to remember this. This guy's a globalist elitist. He is very wealthy. He's used to being at the top, sitting at the top of the top. He's not used to people attacking him and criticizing him and grilling him. He's not made for that. He's not cut out for that. The way he talks to people, the way he snaps at people, he talks over people, he talks over the journalists. It seems very much like Mr. Rich Banker, Mr. Man in Charge, talking over the subordinate, do as I say, stop talking back. That's how he seems to interact with journalists, but that's not going to fly in the House of Commons. He's going to get ripped apart for it. And just think, Jagmeet Singh was Justin Trudeau's loyal little lapdog. Well, there's no more Jagmeet Singh. What if you get someone in there in the NDP, a new leader, who takes shots at Carney as well? Now, granted, it would be at the end of question period. They don't have the same positioning during question period, but the bloc leader could be taking shots at Carney too, and he probably will. I don't think Carney's ready for what's to come. Next up, we got Mark Carney saying he's going to be bringing in a DOGE-like program in Canada to audit wasteful government spending. Do you believe him? I don't believe him.
One of the things that we emphasized and are working on from the start of this new mandate is improving the efficiency of government spending, looking where we can reduce costs at all possible, and improving the productivity of the public sector. We are launching that those set of initiatives, having greater visibility on that as we prepare a budget.
I wouldn't be surprised if he calls it DOGE, getting the idea from his buddy Donald Trump. As the Brookfield robber promises to catch robbers, it will be as transparent as mud by design. It'll be compromised by cabinet members for sure, so as transparent as wearing eye patches on both eyes while walking through a forest on a moonless night. Next up from CTV here, it says why gas prices are expected to jump this summer due to Trump.
Head on a summer road trip this year. Be prepared for unpredictable prices at the pumps. Some petroleum analysts are saying U.S. President Donald Trump's remarks on tariffs, trade, and geopolitical issues could impact summer fuel prices. Price tracking website GasBuddy.com shows gas is up 8.6 cents from last week, but down by 24 cents from around the same time last year. And with me now is Dan McTagg, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy. Hi, Dan. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here on this Sunday, Renee. Thanks for having me.
So let me ask, do you see Trump and his tariffs affecting gas prices this summer?
Well, it's always a bit of a wild card with Donald Trump. I worked with Gas Buddy from 2016, 2014 to 2019. First couple of years, volatility. Every time he came out and made a statement, gas prices would jump or fall. That doesn't happen anymore. I think a lot of markets are now really taking into account what he says. I mean, no matter what the threats may be, and they're discounting them. So I don't think Trump is as big a factor as some would make it out to be, certainly given experience. But I think other factors continue to drive prices. What OPEC does, what is done in Canada in terms of how much oil we can get through the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion, factors such as the value of the Canadian dollar, and of course demand. Prices have dropped. That means demand is up, and although that could have a really good impact on inflation in 2 days when you hear the numbers are down, way down because the carbon tax has been removed, the fact is that every summer is somewhat volatile. We also have hurricanes in July, August, September. We often hear that those are big factors in terms of driving prices. But for now, prices have gone up mostly because demand is very, very robust, much better than I think most people are prepared to, are certainly not expecting. But tariffs don't really have an impact on energy prices. And that's one of the big factors here. Unless someone comes out and says, I'm going to block energy, I don't see anyone saying that. It's not likely that Mr. Trump, President Trump, is going to have any effect really realistically on gas prices.
This is an interesting segment. We've got industry experts saying that Donald Trump causes the prices to go up. You got Gas Buddy guy here saying that he doesn't affect the gas prices anymore. Either way, it's annoying that gas prices always go up in the summertime.
All right, I asked this next question knowing that you just said every summer gas prices tend to be volatile, but how stable do you expect prices to be in the next few months?
Well, they're going to become a little more expensive next week as the U.S. enters the summer driving season, the official kickoff. Their Memorial Day is next weekend. Ours is, of course, this weekend with the May 2-4 weekend. That could mean prices move up as much as 5 or 6 cents a litre before they finally stabilize. And that means that average prices across Canada, which today, according to gaswizard.ca, stands in the vicinity of about $1.38. We could see that move to about $1.45 on average, especially.
$1.45. Where do I get those prices? My gas out here is $1.75.
In places like Vancouver, which saw prices go as high as $1.80 this weekend, now it's expected to come down a little bit. So overall, June is going to be pretty quiet. July, we start to see prices moving back up, staying higher for August. Again, factors that we can't always calculate, Renee, things like hurricanes in the U.S. Gulf Coast. And if that happens and prices go up another 10 cents a litre, I don't think we're going to go back to $2 a litre anytime soon, but expect an average increase between now and then of about 10 cents a litre.
If everyone's wondering, the reason why gas prices on Vancouver Island are always cheaper than Vancouver is because Vancouver has a gas tax. So technically they would be cheaper because they're not on another piece of land detached from the mainland of North America, but they have a big gas tax, which makes Vancouver the most expensive gas in Canada for a major city. Obviously, you go up north, it's going to go through the roof, the prices. Trump didn't tariff gas. It's our government. Give up with blaming absolutely everything what's wrong with Canada on Trump. It's getting ridiculous. Not Trump. Carney's fault, 1,000%. World's weakest negotiator. Yeah, Carney is the world's weakest negotiator. He has not negotiated nothing. No deals, no nothing. One of the other factors is they switch over from winter gas to summer gas, which is more expensive. So that the prices do go up because of that. Next up, we got this clip from CBC watcher Melanie Jolie on Rosemary Barton's show. She's asked about Champagne's bad EV bets in Canada. Champagne bet big on EVs and it failed miserably.
Some of the issues we may have in the auto sector or, elsewhere in the country.
But speaking of investments, as you know, Honda has postponed this $15 billion EV investment in Ontario. I know you spoke to the CEO.
Yeah.
I know they said no jobs will be lost. But to me, that also means that no new jobs will be created. If they are pausing this for as much as 2 years, it sort of begs the question, what industry will there be for the EV vehicle industry? Well, all that work that Minister Champagne did doesn't seem to be bearing fruit if Honda's saying we're not going ahead with this right now.
Well, because I think there are a couple of reasons why. Because there's a trade war with Trump. Yeah. There is also the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act of Biden, that really created much more of an industry in the EV sector, and that Trump is not following suit. And meanwhile, it's just the demand on the part of consumer has lowered. Yeah. So we need to make sure that we.
That's the key phrase there. Why has demand lowered? Is it because you guys failed to put in infrastructure? You're forcing EVs on Canadians, yet there isn't enough electricity across Canada for Canadians to power their EVs? If every Canadian had EV today, our system would just overload and explode. Not to mention there's not enough charging stations, not to mention EVs don't work in most parts of Canada. Most Canadians know this. That's why there isn't this huge rush for everyone to go out and buy an EV. Certain sectors, certain areas like Vancouver, where people have a lot of money, it's a lot more temperate climate, it works there. If you're living in the Yukon though, or rural Saskatchewan, or rural anywhere else, northern Ontario, you're not buying an EV, you're getting a truck that is reliable in -40.
Have conversations, find ways to be in solution mode. That's why I for sure will want to go to Japan and Korea and in Europe to talk to CEOs in that sector. And meanwhile, I think that we can drive the economy through also different sectors, definitely the energy sector, We can become this energy superpower the Prime Minister has been talking about. We can invest in AI, digital tech. And finally, my last point is because I'm in charge of research, I think, and what we're seeing with President Trump going after Harvard and other universities, we can attract the best and the brightest here in Canada, and that will be my goal. And I'll work with Mona Niemer, the head, scientist of for the Government of Canada, and also with universities across the country.
How are you going to attract the best and brightest? She knows she's full of crap. She knows everyone's leaving this country. People get good jobs in America, they go down there because they get paid a lot more money in American dollars, which is worth a lot more money, more opportunities. Housing prices here are out of control. The confidence in her words here, her facial expressions, she knows full well they're not attracting the best and brightest. We're barely just holding on by our fingernails right now. ChatGPT's scoring of total EV projects canceled and postponed in Canada. Northvolt bankrupt, Lion Electric liquidation, Honda postponed 2 years, General Motors partial shutdown, E1 Moly expansion on hold. How can a country with the worst and dumbest in power hope to attract the best and brightest from America? Exactly, it's not going to happen. Tell me which EV truck would be sufficient to replace my Ford F-250 for my construction company. Exactly, it's not happening. All these morons had to do is attract Tesla. I'm actually shocked that this space cadet is still a part of the government. She's still a minister. She got reelected. She's not even a backbencher. Her and Sean Fraser fail upwards. Reach for the stars. Apparently anything is possible. Next up, we got Olivia Chow showing us the future of housing in Toronto here. As Table Salt says, they're excited stacking shipping containers for Pop-Pops to live in his golden years.
This is exciting because I'm in front of a construction site. It's home to 55 seniors. They're going to move in early spring next year. We're building it, and Whitby Community Center, a very well-known, very good social service agency, is going to come and operate it. These seniors that are going to be here will get comprehensive support, whether they need mental health or any other kind of services. So,
oh, geez.
Hey.
Olivia Chow is a disaster. Mark Carney's been talking a big game about moving fast and building big projects when in reality, what has the guy done? He's gallivanted off to Rome, bringing 19 Catholic liberals to go meet the Pope, hasn't made a deal with Donald Trump. The clock's ticking and Canadians are starting to see who Mark Carney really is.